Cooper Flagg is the real deal, and that's not an opinion. That's a verdict delivered by people who actually know what greatness looks like from the inside. He is a legit 6'9" with a jumper, with a handle, with passing ability that makes your jaw drop every single time he touches the ball. He plays on both ends without hesitation, locks down on defense, scores on offense, and gets to the free throw line like a seasoned vet. He has the poise of a player who has been doing this for 15 years, except he's 19 years old and still figuring out how far his ceiling goes. Every single legend who has watched him up close has walked away saying the same exact thing, and that alone should tell you everything you need to know right now. If Victor Wembanyama wasn't in the picture, Cooper Flagg would be dominating every single draft conversation, with absolutely zero debate from anyone. He stacked awards like it was effortless: McDonald's All-American, National Player of the Year, First Team everything, checking every single box before most kids even know what position they play. From his very first game in high school, he was not just good, he was cooking people. He was dominating. He was making experienced players look like they had never touched a basketball before. He moved from his early school in Maine to Montverde Academy, one of the most loaded programs in the entire country, and he still stood out like the undeniable main character of every single game. Then he walked into Duke, and it was never a question of whether he would take over. Everyone already knew it was just a matter of when it was going to fully happen. By the time draft night arrived, Adam Silver calling his name #1 overall wasn't suspense for anybody watching. It was simply confirmation of what the entire basketball world had already decided. The real question was never whether he'd go first. The real question was what actually separates him from every other highly hyped prospect who came before him in recent memory. You have to look at who's backing up the talk, and we're not talking about social media accounts or anonymous scouts. We're talking about all-stars and Hall of Famers who shaped this entire sport. These are men who have felt the weight of that spotlight themselves, who know what real talent looks like versus manufactured hype, and every single one of them is saying the same name. The backing isn't coming from one corner of the league either. It's coming from every era, every position, every generation of basketball greatness, pointing at this 19-year-old kid from Maine. He made history in Maine as the first freshman to ever win the Gatorade Player of the Year award at just 14 years old, and that number needs to sink in for a second. He was going up against 17-year-olds every single night, players who were bigger and older and had years more experience, and he was still putting up numbers that looked like a video game cheat code. The hype surrounding him wasn't manufactured by a marketing team or pushed by an agency. It was earned possession by possession, game by game against the best competition available to him at that age. People in Maine were already spreading the word before anyone outside the state had even seen a highlight, because when you see something that special in person, you have to tell somebody immediately. Then he stepped onto the AAU stage with Maine United, and suddenly the entire national basketball world got to see what all the noise was actually about, and nobody was disappointed. He was facing the best prospects in the entire country on that AAU circuit, kids who would go on to be college stars and eventual NBA draft picks themselves, and he controlled every single game. One of the people who happened to be in the gym watching one of those AAU games was LeBron James, who originally came to watch his own son, Bronny, compete on the same circuit. But what LeBron saw that day shifted his attention completely, because Cooper was out there leading a team of under-the-radar kids and making them look like an elite unit through sheer will and playmaking. LeBron, a man who has seen every type of basketball talent the world has to offer over more than 2 decades at the highest level, walked away paying very close attention to this teenager. That moment mattered because when someone with LeBron's eye for the game stops what he came to do and refocuses his attention, you know something genuinely extraordinary is happening right in front of you. Cooper wasn't just playing well in those AAU games, he was posting numbers that made statisticians do a double take and coaches question whether the scorebook was filled out correctly. 25.4 points per game, 13 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and 6.9 blocks per game. And that block number is the one that makes you stop everything and reread it. He even dropped a 10-block performance in a single game. And the most insane part about all of it is that he was not playing center. He was not a traditional big man at all. He was doing rim protection at an elite level while simultaneously handling the ball, making decisions in the pick and roll, and creating shots off the dribble like a guard who has played the position his entire life. That combination of size and skill and defensive impact at his age was not something that scouts had a clean comparison for, because honestly, the blueprint for what he was doing simply did not exist before him. LeBron James understands better than almost anyone alive what it means to be labeled the chosen one, to carry that pressure every single day before you have even proven yourself at the professional level. He knows that making winning plays over and over again, consistently, under pressure, in big moments, is the exact line that separates a good player from a true generational superstar in this sport. Steve Nash noted that LeBron saw genuine pieces of himself in Cooper Flagg, and that is not a comparison that gets made casually, because LeBron does not hand those out to people who haven't earned them. Carmelo Anthony saw Cooper go directly against his son Kion on multiple occasions, and Melo is not someone who throws praise around lightly, especially when it involves someone competing against his own family. Every single time Cooper stepped on the floor against Kion, he controlled the game completely, and Melo walked away from those matchups saying this kid is the real deal. Not potential, not hype, real. The one word that keeps appearing in every scouting report, every analyst breakdown, every legend's assessment of Cooper Flagg is versatility, and that word doesn't even fully capture what he brings. At 6'9", he has the athleticism to lock up guards and wings on the perimeter, switching onto faster players without getting burned, which alone makes him a defensive weapon of the highest order. At the same time, he can protect the rim like an elite big man, altering shots, blocking attempts, making players think twice before they even consider attacking the basket when he's standing between them in the hoop. That combination alone, size and perimeter defense in the same body, is extraordinarily rare in the modern NBA, and teams pay maximum contracts just to find one or the other, let alone both together. But none of that is even the part that scares opposing coaches the most, because offensively is where the real nightmare begins for anyone trying to build a game plan against this 19-year-old kid. On offense, Cooper can handle the ball in pick-and-roll situations, make the correct decision at full speed, run the offense from the top of the key, and create his own shot off the dribble whenever he needs to. He is essentially a complete offensive system compressed into one body, which is why Kevin Durant specifically pointed to Cooper as someone you can trust to run point because his game has no real limitations to exploit. Gilbert Arenas, who was never shy about his opinions on talent evaluation, said that watching Cooper at 18 years old was like watching a fully formed superstar who just happened to be starting his NBA career. At 18 years old,